Hello and welcome. Salutations, everyone. Welcome to our Ashes of Creation July development update. We hope everyone has been well and safe over the month. As always, it's exciting months for us. A lot. We
Yes.
blink and the month goes by, but we always have so much excitement in the office and hubbub
Yeah.
as we're, you know, prepared to showcase all the cool stuff for you guys.
Very exciting. It's been hot actually in San Diego this July.
Yeah, my plants
Oh
are
no.
having the struggle bus, but it's okay.
Plants are struggle busing.
It's okay. I'm giving them a lot of water and nutrients. Um, Minus the birds trying to eat them, which I didn't even know birds
Birds eat plants?
they are attacking my tomato plant leaves. But
Oh no.
yeah, so I bought a little
Are
greenhouse
you,
and put them in it.
that's odd. I wonder what kind of bird is attacking the tomato plant.
Yeah,
Tomato.
man. Yeah, the Tulnar are attacking.
That's all.
But as always, we'll just go through all of our quick reminders. Today, we are going to be showing off some more techie stuff. Y'all said you want to see more, so we're going to be showing off a tech art tool, and we have a few different people joining from our team who will be discussing that with Steven. And so we'll be playing a video for you all on that.
Yes,
And
very exciting stuff. And by the way,
yeah.
we in the past we've seen as the community responded positively to any technical discussions, and you guys have asked for us to kind of do a little more of that in the future. And so today's that day. We're going to have a very technical discussion.
And if you have questions and stuff, pop them in chat. I know we'll try to answer what we can. I usually try to pull questions as well if they're pertinent to what we're discussing. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. And then, of
Yeah.
course, we have a character art update, which includes a race that you haven't really seen much of. So I'm sure you guys will enjoy that. And it's one
Ooh,
that people have been discussing a lot lately.
really?
Vagnar and I were chatting about that. So I think it will be exciting for you guys to see where we're headed for that. And then, of course, we have our studio update, which will be pretty quick. And then we'll do our Q&A, which we'll try to answer as many as we can from the forums that were new questions. But as always, if you ask a question that we've already answered, Vecnar is amazing and goes through and answers all of them for you. Or it gives you the direction of where you can find the answer as well. So yeah, very cool. So to kick things off, we have our reminders. First and foremost, we have our spotlight question from YouTube, and we do this every stream. So all you have to do is subscribe to us over on YouTube and leave a comment on the video that is our development update. And you could do that for this one as well, whenever we upload it. But today's highlight is from Wyatt Parks, and they actually have a question this time. They said, here's a question. As a crafter slash artisan, etc., will I be able to give my goods to someone else and pay them to transport it via caravan system or something to market? Or will I have to be will I have to be the one to do the caravan myself?
That's a very good
Mhm.
question, actually. And I don't think we have talked about, since that system has had a little bit of a redesign several months ago. Um, but yes, there is a system driven way for players to co op caravan trips. And essentially, you have the driver or the owner of the caravan preps the caravan for launch at the caravansary, which is the node building that launches the caravans. And he can make a selection to allow designated players or members of his party excuse me, um, to uh, to reserve space within the caravan, and they may then upload their goods into the caravan at the caravansary by interfacing with the UI there. And there can even be an agreement for insurance should the caravan be destroyed. Let's say you find a driver who's run many successful missions, and you're confident in their ability to deliver, you may not ask for insurance. But if this is a new person who doesn't have an established reputation on the server for being a successful caravan driver, then you can request insurance, and that's an option that the owner of the caravan has to enable. And when you interface with that UI window, There will be the amount of insurance that will be placed in escrow and given to you should the caravan not make it to its destination, or should the caravan's goods be lost. So there is mechanical systems in place to provide that type of interaction. We feel that interaction is good. It's fun. It helps encourage the social interaction that's important to an MMORPG, but also it provides an outlet for players who may not wish to actually drive a caravan or launch a caravan or own a good caravan to transport their goods, to kind of piggyback with other players as they do those things as well.
So, Stephen, have you paid your caravan insurance? Because I'm
Have
here to collect.
I didn't lose a caravan. I don't have to make good on that payment. I'm good.
I'm just imagining all the memes. Of course. And that is from Wyatt Parks. Thank you, Wyatt, for being a subscriber over on our YouTube channel. We super duper appreciate it. And we look forward to the next questions or comments that will be coming our way from this update. And of course, we have our reminder that our Thunder at the Gate cosmetics will be swapping over August 10th at 11 a.m. Pacific.
Oh, look at the little turtle dude. I like his tail and his little mouth. Look at that. It looks like a baby turtle, but actually it's big.
Yeah, it's a mount. So yeah, it would be interesting if it was a little baby turtle. And a reminder that all the variants that are made from these, you'll see in-game as NPCs, creatures, buildings, etc., which is really very exciting for us. You're helping us build the world of Vera. And we also have our latest dev discussion up, which is about world map discovery. We'd like to know, would you like to see a traditional map, world or MMO world map that once explored updates with the ever-changing state of the world, or would you prefer to see more innovative ways of keeping maps up to date? And y'all have already provided a ton of feedback, but we would love to see some more. So if you haven't headed over to our forums, please do so. And of course, our next topic will be regarding tank participation, and I'm sure y'all will have tons of feedback for us on that. So prepare yourself.
It has been a lively discussion on the design team as well.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
that's why we have it as a dev discussion.
I know. Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see what people think about that.
Stephen's like, let's see if you guys agree with me.
No, we cannot load. We shouldn't load the question. Nobody knows who stands where.
I know. I'm not saying what you think. I'm just saying,
okay, good,
it'll be interesting to see if people's ideas or thoughts coincide with what you guys as a development team think. Absolutely. And of course, for those of you who are content creators, you're always asking us, where you can apply. We haven't started invitation phase yet, but we are accepting applications. So if you head on over to our website or even our support page and you type in, content creator program, it'll come up with a link where you can apply for part of that, which will be very exciting. And without further ado, we are ready to head into our tech art tool discussion. Do you want to preface this first video? Yes. And then we'll...
I would love to. So what we're going to see first here is a very brief preview, a sneak peek at the desert zones in Alpha 2. And we don't want to obviously give away all the secrets and show everything that is intended there for Alpha 2, but you will likely see some interesting buildings that might be indicative of some points of interest, of some dungeons. You might see little glimpse at a raid boss that lives in the desert. It's really kind of, Tristan Snodgrass, our lead environment artist, did an outstanding job putting together this little video showing you guys what the environment team and the tech art teams have been working on and building as part of the Alpha 2 world. So big hearts in chat for Tristan. He spent a lot of time on this. He was up late last night getting the final touches put on it, and everybody who participated in it. But I think you guys are going to enjoy it. It's going to be a brief showcase, and then after that, we will show a technical discussion about one of our internally created tools from some of our very talented senior technical artists, and how we are developing these internal tools to really help build a giant MMO world like Ashes of Creation. And create better efficiency in our workflow processes, right? In the pipeline of what goes into making these beautiful environments and these beautiful places in the world. So, incredibly impressed always with the talent that our team has, and is constantly showing. And I think you guys are going to be impressed as well.
They're amazing. I mean, we all talk about it every day, but even in the office, when you're like eating lunch with someone, it's just great to work with people who are super passionate because, every time you talk to somebody or ask them for something, it's not, like a chore. It's like everyone's excited to do it,
Oh
which I think
yeah.
is,
A-
great.
Absolutely. No, and it's always so fun to really just see, these dreams that we've talked about, for years now, starting to come to a quality level that's indicative of what
Yeah,
players
I
are
want
going
to
to
play,
experience.
Steven.
Yes, I know. What do you want me to do? You see me every,
I
we're
know.
working
I
our
know.
hearts out. Come on. I don't need to get it from you, Margaret.
I
No,
know. I'm just saying from like just so the players realize like we also want this just as badly as you guys. We want to
yes,
create the game that we
yes.
all want to play. So just we're bearing with you all as well. But with that, I'm going to play a cinematic video and then we'll return and we'll chat a little bit and we'll head into the tool discussion.
Keep an eye out for some interesting things you might discover in this video. What are these structures?
All right, we'll see you in a moment. All right. Well, it seems like people liked it. Also, they love this
Oh
the
my
whispering well
gosh.
the
Yes. It
the
is.
snorse as the community has called it. Oh my gosh, the sounds so good. I love it so
Yes.
much.
Kat did a great job.
Yeah.
Tristan, everybody did a great job kind of in this sneak peek. I can see the absolute excitement from the community just dying to get into this zone. But just to give you guys context, next video we're going to show is about 20 minutes long. And it's going to talk about some of the tech that's been internally developed to work in concert with Unreal Engine and helps remove some of the workflow barriers that typically exist as part of the process of making these virtual worlds. And our tech art team has done a phenomenal job in helping create tools that our artists can use to essentially keep that creative process within the engine as much as possible. So you're going to hear a lot of technical jargon and words perhaps that might be a little foreign. We'll do our best to try to clear some of that stuff up after the video. But I think you guys are going to enjoy watching, what goes into making such environments like this, what goes into making the world of Vera.
All right. We'll see you on the flip side.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another live stream day. Very excited to be with you. We have a little bit of a different demonstration to show you all today. We've in the past, we've shown kind of tech that we're using to help build the world of Vera. And today I am joined by three of our extremely talented senior technical artists on the team. I am joined by John, Bruno, and Alan. Hey guys, how are you doing?
Hey, good, Stephen.
Hello.
Doing well.
Now, you guys have been working on something for the past little while that is very excited. And as I understand it, Alan, this was something that you began to think about as a tool that our artists could use in the studio to help with the development of a world like ours, as big as ours, of an MMO. That of course is a difficult world to build amongst the games that are out there. Tell me a little bit about where this idea came from for our landform tool.
Hello. Yeah, sure. So I was in the studio just trying to figure out a way to kind of speed up my process, other artists' process of creating art essentially. And then I know essentially how big our world is going to be. Yeah. So, I really wanted to kind of think about that as well as my constraints, and so it kind of just dawned on me as I was working through building art for us about this idea I had, which is landform, which, thankful, hats off to Bruno for the name. I think it's fantastic. It's awesome.
I like it too. It's perfectly apt for what it does too.
Yeah, totally.
For sure.
And so I was just trying to think of those ideas, and so I was like just trying to think of like the awesome programs or the softwares that I use, and how can I speed up that flow.
Right.
So
and tell me a little bit about the flow, right? John, Bruno, Alan, you guys have been working for a long time in this industry, and you've built a lot of games, and I think you guys even have some MMO experience. Some of you in the past. I think Alan, you worked on New World was your last project, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. And tell me a little bit about what that workflow actually is on other projects that you guys have worked on.
So with other projects I worked on, essentially you would build your asset, your model essentially in a third-party application like Maya or something, and then you would actually start going in and start detailing it up, like in programs like ZBrush or what other programs that you want to use, and then go in and start texturing after you UV it. And so then you could jump into like Quixel Mixer or Substance Painter, or if you're even trying to do like a tileable or something like that, you go into Designer and make that. So you're going to a lot of these different programs, and you're spending your time doing those processes to create your art. But
right.
essentially,
and each time you kind of move to a different middleware program, that's an interruption in the workflow, right?
Yeah. So like as I'm building something, I'm, artists have like this rhythm, it's like this flow that we get into that kind of just help create this thing that we're making, and for me, it's like as I'm building something, I'm in this flow, and it's like I'm getting in this rhythm. If I have to separate and go to another application, I'm starting to do like really technical work. I start that idea that flow kind of like dissipates, it kind of gets more softer and vague, and then before you know, it's like out in the mist, and it's really hard to grab it and then bring it back into vision once you're going through all these applications.
Mm-hmm.
So this workflow allows us to essentially speed that up, and so that's what I was looking through in my ideas and stuff about, like, how can we stay in an engine, build a material, a process as well that allows us to create art, but really get the high fidelity that we're looking for, and as well speed, right? Iteration, like we just
Right.
talked about, for like, hey, does this look good? Oh no, that looks great, but what about this? And you're like, oh yeah, let's change that up. And then before you know it, you're like, okay, and then you have to go back and you're out of that application, or
Right.
out of the engine into another application, and then it just goes through this big long process. So if you can do that and build it inside the world that you're making, then that flow, like really that rhythm, starts to come a lot easier. And before you know it, if you come to me, Steve, and you're like, hey Alan, I want this cliff to be a little bit higher, I would have to get out of the application or the engine and into my application and do that. But now with this tool that we're making and this process that we have really defined, now we don't have to do that.
Bruno, talk to me a little bit about what made this possible with Unreal Engine 5, our migration over to UE5, as opposed to previously with UE4.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is something that, of course, became available quite recently with geometry scripting within UE5, and that's basically like the tool set that we're using to create landform. So that's actually something that's like really, really fresh and new, and like cutting edge technology kind of thing. So before, of course, you could, like Alan said, we could do this outside of Unreal and go to external programs and stuff like that. But of course, we wanted to keep that flow going, and we wanted to keep the artist really connected with the asset that they are working with. So yeah, we use this like fresh new tools from UE5 to create landform, and yeah, the tool is here now, and it's been amazing to work with it, and yeah, just having a really good time seeing it.
Yeah, it's been exciting, kind of seeing our artists react to this tool's availability now as part of their workflow, and kind of replacing, as you guys described, that external sculpting software like ZBrush or Maya, and creating really higher resolution geometry to bake it down in this, making it usable essentially in the game, in the actual engine itself. John, talk to me a little bit about how this has impacted the team's workflow, and where it's really viable for an MMORPG like ours.
Well, so one of the things that makes it really viable for an MMORPG in this case is the performance side of it. So I remember I was mentioning something earlier about how, like, I've been wanting to work on an MMO since I was 8 years old, but once I became an adult and became a 3D artist, I realized I wanted to work on an MMO, but I didn't want to be an artist on an MMO because of the limitations. Now, one of the things that our tool does here is it allows us to grab that higher fidelity, not just in the textures, but the actual geometry. So you see the silhouettes of all of the details that, you might go and play your favorite MMO that you've been playing for 15 years and everything's all flat. There's no bumps, there's no ridges or anything like that. But then now here we are trying to bring in that extra dimension, essentially. And
Absolutely.
Right before, joining Intrepid, I spent some time in film and doing a lot of, that film level scenery. And, I wanted to bring that into the game, and I didn't think that was possible until we started really working on this. And then so, Alan's got his ideas that he's putting forth, and Bruno is building these tools here that's actually making it possible. And then one of the main things I'm doing over here is, making sure that it's optimized and we're reaching that level of performance that is still going to be able to run on an MMO.
Right.
You know, I've got a lot of friends that want to play this MMO so badly.
Don't
but-
we all?
but they're
We
still
all.
yeah, they're still running their 10 series graphics cards. You know, they haven't been able to either find their RTXs or afford them even, you know, because they got really expensive there. And so for me, it's really important that we reach that fidelity, but we do it in a way where, you know, those people can still play it. Because when every time you try to increase the fidelity in a game, you run the risk of alienating a part of your potential player base.
Right.
And for me, the most important thing, you know, I want it to look good, but I also don't want to alienate any of these people that want to enter the world of Vera and be part of our community.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we've all played MMOs, right? We're all MMO gamers. I remember, you know, we've talked about the kind of games that we played, and one of the biggest components of a fun experience in an MMO is having a very high population, having a lot of people around you. And the more that are capable of playing an MMO that's in Unreal Engine 5, which, you know, this type of tool allows us to, as you just described, make this a viable application on lower end spec machines. And that is really alleviating a barrier to entry that a lot of newer generation games have that we're trying to lower. So tell me a little bit about you know, what we're seeing here with this modeling. You know, you guys are watching you know, some of these demonstrations of the manipulation of the tool actually in the engine itself. Talk to me a little bit about what we're looking at.
Sure.
Anybody?
We can jump into looking at the tool here. And you know, essentially what we're doing is we're taking a lot of if we have any 3D artists or, you know, game developers out there watching today, we're taking a lot of that external painting aspect and bringing it into the engine. You know, we're not using Painter, we're not using Mixer for this, but both of those were inspirations on what we're doing here.
Absolutely.
And just, you know, the end result is going to be that we're essentially displacing this texture into actual geometry. But I'll let Alan jump in and talk a little bit about what we're looking at here.
Sure. So I think that one of the things that was big for me is the UX part of this, right? Is bringing the user experience of how these programs work within Unreal. So what we're looking at is essentially me painting texture sets on this model that allows us to basically duplicate how, you know, Painter would be or Mixer essentially. But now we're able to do that within Unreal, and I'm able to use Megascan's assets, you know, they're tileables essentially, and I'm able to paint layers on this, which are, you know, what we're looking at right here. And then, you know, you have a way to blend between the height, so in and out. There's a lot of dynamic masking going on. And all this is basically allows the artist to create the thing that they want to in engine, which is fantastic. And right now what you're looking at is I was able to sculpt inside of Unreal, push in the inside. Before I'd have to go to like ZBrush, you know. And then, you know, with the tool, I'm able to get the things I need to bake out, and I'm being a little, you know, descriptive there, you know, so we can hide a little bit of our secrets.
Game
you know,
artist top.
Yep, absolutely. And I'm able to displace it, and then I can keep on using Unreal's tools to keep on refining my process, you know, in the mesh and the asset, you know, and any time through this. And the big part of this, and Bruno can talk about that, and even John, is that this is a non-destructive workflow. And that was really important to us because this allows me to be free of that. I don't have to worry about, oh shoot, did I do the wrong thing? You know, am I
iteration is king.
Right.
Yes,
Exactly. So this just allows us to move forward and then also move back without any hiccups, and it's just fantastic.
Yeah, Bruno, talk to us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I can comment on it real quick. But basically, what Alan's saying is that you can always go back to your original meshes and to your original assets and redo the process or create an entire new mesh based on that same starting point. And it's always going to be there for you. It's not like basically this is what a non-destructive workflow is. You can always go back and undo or start again from scratch if you want to do another iteration of it. It's just really powerful. It gets gets the artist like more relaxed about like, oh, I'm not going to break anything, and so I say like go and break things because you can always go back.
Right. And John, you were talking about iteration is king, and boy is that true, especially on an MMORPG where, let's say, designers might come to you and want this cliff face to be looking a little bit different for the needs of their quest, or the pathing that they might want to have a certain monster take around a particular POI or some statue like this, right? And you guys have, with the ease of this tool, the ability to make those iterations actually in engine.
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things here, going through and, painting on something and, sculpting on it and trying to get all those details in, you spend a lot of time doing that. And in traditional workflows where you would do it in external sculpting software and things like that, it was a headache when somebody would come to you and want some kind of iteration, but that's the reality of the industry. It's all about iteration. The first version is never the version that makes it in. And if anybody tells you it is, then they're lying to you.
Absolutely.
So it's like one of the things I always tell my students that I mentor is that, the key to being a 3D artist in this industry is you cannot get married to your work. You have to.
You know what? That's
Absolutely.
So funny, John, that you say that, because at the start of every design meeting, I make each of our designers go through and say, I am not my design, and my design is not me.
This is my asset. There are many like it.
This one's mine.
Exactly.
That's fantastic.
So, but that's the thing, there's the iteration side of it, but then there's also the variation side of it. And one of the things that I personally wanted to use this tool to approach was variation. So, like, one of the things we can do with it is we can take an asset that's essentially built clean, and then we can go in and we can use the landform tool to essentially create a duplicate of that asset, go in and start doing sculpting on it. We can add these extra details, we can add damage, we can add buildup of some kind of gunk or something like that, save that out, and then set that aside as variant A. Then we can go back in, grab the asset again, start over, paint it a completely different way, create another variant of it. So we could
and boy, is that important for an MMO where reusability is key in managing this giant world we have to make.
Yeah, and so let's say that you have a hall of statues, like 10 statues on either side. In traditional games, you walk through there and you see 10 repeating statues on each side, 20 repeated statues. Now, you could go in and you could sculpt in all kind of damage detail to create variants, but a problem that you run into on the performance side is that now you're adding a lot of resource overhead, and then that tanks things down. Your frames per second goes down.
Some engineer comes screaming at you down the
or
hallway.
the tech artist, the tech artist starts like shooting you with a Nerf gun and giving you the. But what we can do here is we can have an artist sculpt out something beautiful, and then we get it into the engine. They sculpt that beautiful statue, and then you take that statue and you can create even 19 more variants of it, right?
Quickly.
And you can go through and you can use the tool to paint it in a different way, to create damage in different places, and then have those all lined up. But every single one of those is using the same set of textures, tileable textures and everything that were used to use the tool on it. And so traditionally you couldn't do this because you would have to have 20 different bespoke texture sets, and now you have one that is used across all 20 of those statues, but they still look different because of the extra detail that we're adding for the variations. So iterations and variations, I think, are the key component here.
I think the other thing. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, if I can add to that a little bit, there's a big aspect of this tool that is like the procedural workflow that we're using here. But I just wanted to comment real quick that even though yes, we're using like all of this like procedural techniques in it, it still gives the artist all of the power. So there's still someone curating that procedural workflow, right? So it's not like we're pressing a button, generate statue. There's someone still going in there and painting that detail and adding that detail where it needs to be, right?
There's an artist behind every part of it. Yes.
Yeah, it's all curated.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what I was going to mention too, is that it's basically procedural with hand painted work. So you're able to get a best of both two worlds, get something that's done very quickly because it's procedural, and then have the artist control that and paint out what they want to see.
Absolutely phenomenal. Well, guys, I think I speak for the community when I say that we are incredibly impressed with not just the hard work that you're putting forth in helping make Ashes of Creation a reality, but also the way in which you're using your minds to create more efficient workflows so that the task of creating a world as big as Ashes, as big as...
Hello and welcome back. We hope that you all enjoyed a little bit more of a tech-heavy piece. I know there weren't a ton of questions. I had a feeling that there weren't going to be a ton. There are a lot of people asking, who is she? The Sand Mom statue lady.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we can't answer that. That's something that you will need to discover in the world. But she does have significance, absolutely.
Oh my gosh, Sandal Queen. I like that one too. It was great.
Sandal Queen.
But yeah, I thought I would ask it, even though I know we won't believe you an answer quite yet, but you'll find out, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's always great to have these technical showcases as well. I know in the past we've done developer diaries, and we want to get around to doing those again, but there's a lot that goes into making an MMORPG, but especially in making a large open world. And there are not a lot of out of the box tools that help with that process. So it's important that, as a studio, as a development team, that we're conscientious of our workflows, of the pipelines that require us to think outside of the box in making specially curated tools to improve that, to make it scalable, to make it possible within the amount of time we want to build the types of things that we want to do. And a lot of that, for especially the creative realm of game creation, it is about keeping the consistency of that creative workflow in place. And oftentimes the middleware software that's available out there is amazing. It is incredibly versatile. There's never going to be a way that you will entirely remove that from, I think, the process, at least not for some time. But where we can mitigate that, at least on an iterative level, that's where it's very fruitful to an artist or to the development team to be able to stay within the engine for those iterative processes, right? And the landform tool is really useful. And in fact, this is, and I know it was said in the discussion, but this is just the early application of that landform tool. There's a lot more that's planned to make that tool very versatile in its capabilities within the engine. And it's going to be exciting to see it incorporated further in our pipelines. So very impressed by the incredible work that our technical art teams, as well as our art teams in general, are doing to bring Ashes of Creation, the world of Vera, to life. And I know you guys appreciate kind of getting insight under the hood, especially those of you who are amateur developers or who are just getting started in the industry or who might be at other studios. This is also an incredible recruitment tool, so that, one thing that is the lifeblood, I think, of any project out there in game development is the tools. The tools that you have access to help ease, to help scale, to help inform what it is that you're developing. And here at this studio, we put tools on a pedestal, right? We want to make sure that we are providing our developers with the tools that they need, and that's why we have very technical teams that are conscientious of how we can apply the technical art knowledge or the engineering knowledge to facilitate that tools development. And we also want that to be a high point when we prospect new developers to join our team, that they get to see the types of tools that are available when working not only with Unreal Engine 5, which is an incredible engine created by Epic, but also within the the tool sets that we're creating internally as well to interface with Unreal Engine 5. And that's a very important aspect. So happy to share that stuff with you guys, and I hope you guys are excited to see that and learn about it. And it's a fun aspect of making games.
And I think one of the main things that we've been trying to show you guys is like the journey of creating a product, creating a game. I don't
Yes.
think a lot of people get to experience that. And you're getting to see not only, the outcome of what is the creation, but the process of creation. And so
Absolutely.
if you want to see more of those things, do let us know. But
We all know this because we're all gamers, but
yeah,
games are the future. I mean, the gaming market today is larger than any other form of entertainment combined. And it's only going to continue to grow as more and more people get access and familiarity with computers and consoles and whatnot. So it's kind of like being on the cutting edge of the advent of the internet or of computers. Gaming is in and of itself something that is the future, and we're going to see more and more development teams continue to become worthwhile investments on the gaming side, for us to participate in the development and the journey of. And it's great that you guys, I think it's great that one of the things I love about Ashes is the ability to interface with the community and having that open and transparent development process. Because I just think about how 15, 20 years ago, when I was playing games at 18 years old, that I didn't get this type of insight, right? I just grabbed the title when it released. Now there's an opportunity to kind of watch the progress, to watch the development, to learn and understand. And I think that's a really cool aspect. Not for everyone, of course, but it is something that those of us who are interested in have the opportunity to do so now more and more today than we ever did in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think from a developer standpoint, as like a person working at a company, I've worked, at quite a few, and when you don't have the right tools, it can be very frustrating. So, praise Stephen for allowing developers to have the opportunity to spend time to create tools. I think a lot of the times they're like, okay, well, Access is your tool. You have to use that. And you're basically just like pasting spreadsheet data in there, and like you're crossing your fingers, hoping stuff doesn't break. Right.
Oh,
and
I've heard
that's the age that
stories.
I've come from is, 16 years ago, it was not this way.
Right.
Having tools that we can utilize and make processes faster. I think you mentioned being scalable, as we pull more people on, or not needing as many people because you have great tools that do things faster. I think it's just trying to explain that to folks who, maybe don't get to, be in the day to day of creating like a game or any product.
Absolutely.
All right. With that, unless you have anything else you want to add, Stephen,
No,
we shall move on to our character art update, which, to preface first, we will be showcasing a new race that we haven't really, we've shown some things on the Empyrean in the past. No, we're not showing the Tulnar.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the Tulnar. We're going to show you like a toe to start with.
No, we well,
But I'm gonna let you know the Tulnar are looking sick.
Oh, they're looking
so
good.
cool. My team is just like losing their mind, but
Oh,
not today.
man.
Not today.
Maybe we
Why'd you
can
get them all
maybe,
amped up?
I know. Maybe we can just show them the concepts. Maybe we can just show them the concepts. Can you pull that in like live?
Maybe
You
I
have
could.
that?
I don't have it
can
off the top of my head.
I can send it to you right now if you want me
Okay.
to.
I feel like we could do something cooler with showing
yeah,
that
that's
off.
true.
I don't know. I
Maybe
feel
we
like
should.
maybe dispersing
Oh.
parts to content creators and they have to like put the puzzle together or something might be fun.
Oh, do you want to do that or do we want to show them
It's
the
up to-
concepts? I'm going to leave it in your hands. What do you want?
Oh my gosh,
That
don't
way
do that,
I'm not the
Steven.
bad guy. No, if I choose not to, I'm not the bad guy. It's all you now.
Okay, well, let's start with what we've got, and then we can decide at the end.
Okay.
And I'll let maybe Vacnar can DM me and tell me. He's like, I wasn't prepared for this. What he thinks in a DM.
Do it live. We're gonna
first and foremost, let's show off the Empyrean.
I'm gonna be in
which we
so
have-
much trouble after this, you guys. If you don't see me for a week, call for help. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I work for you, man.
I
You
know,
tell me
I
what you
know,
want.
I know.
So here's a look at the Empyrean. We've had a lot of questions about the Empyrean. I've heard a lot of people asking about them. People want to have that more high elven look. There were some questions in regards to whether the headpiece part is part of them, but I think
Margaret,
that's just
someone just screamed, "Give us the toe."
just the toe. All
Just
right,
no, just kidding.
Vacnar, get me an image of the toe.
I'm
We'll
sending
showcase the
it
toe.
right now. But guys, so remember the important part here is we've always said this that art is always improving. It's always a work in progress. And part of the art that excuse me, Manny and the character team have been doing has been doing an audit of our character races, and you guys saw this first with the pyre. I think was it first with the pyre or first? No, first was with the dwarves with
Yeah,
the Dunir.
dwarves.
Then the pyre. And now
I think
you're seeing
Nakua,
the
yeah,
Empyrean.
they're part
Right.
of the dwarves.
Now you're seeing the Empyrean, and these are updates to give some more unique character to each of the individual races, and also to bring them up to a quality level that is respective of the world we're creating. So you guys see these concept pieces right here, which is the reimagining that Manny's done kind of the Empyrean elves. And you guys will recall when you saw the Pyre concept to the Pyre model, it is very similar. It is almost one-to-one between concept and model. So this gives you a very good idea what these models are going to look like, which we will show you soon. They're almost done, not quite yet. As a matter of fact, Margaret, you threw them on the run of show, but I think I took them off because they have just a few other things that they need. The Empyrean models.
Oh
Remember
yeah,
yesterday in the PI meeting?
the models. Yeah, I had the actual models, but you had me pull them.
They're almost
show
done.
the concept.
Almost done.
Yeah.
Almost done.
Ready for I always like showing you guys the concept and then what the in-game looks like, because it's like they look so similar. It's so good. Next, we have shown the Renkai before. You all gave us a lot of feedback on it. We are making a lot of changes to all of the races to make them more unique. Each of them having their, like, I mean, you've seen like the building culture and how different each of those are. And Steven's really driving the direction for the art now. So this is kind of the new direction of the Renkai. It's not finished, but yes. And yes, you will be able to still have red skin too. But this is just the green skin showing you that.
Yeah, there's going to obviously be a lot of customization options where you will have some direction on skin pigmentation for the different races. You're not just going to be delegated to green orcs. You're going to have options there where you can customize those things. But this is the
recently work in progress touched up concepts for the Renkai, and I love it. I think they're
I
looking
love it.
great.
It matches kind of the
Yes.
vibe they have with all their architecture, like the very swampy, like pagoda style. Like I feel like this feels more like what they should be. I like
Oh,
it.
absolutely. Absolutely.
That's cool. All right. And of course, we will have threads going up for both of these as well as for our desert biome goodness. So if you do have thoughts on any of these things, please feel free to pop over to our forums and give us some feedback.
By the way,
Next.
just in case
Mhm.
you choose to pull that trigger,
Yeah.
on the Tulnar, I've added it to yours, mine, and Rye's DM in Slack, so you have it there.
Oh, Raya's out today. He's
Oh, okay. Sorry. Here, I'll send it directly to you.
okay.
There you
Ooh, okay.
go. Doing
Thank
it
you. Thank you.
live. Yep.
I will download that. Okay, so this is the Guise of the Negotiator set. Very, very cool.
Oh, I love this set. Who worked on this one, by the way?
Believe this was Jeremy
Jeremy? No. He's a
for
designer.
design. But
Oh.
Eli worked on it for the
There we
art.
go. Eli, nice. Yes. Jeremy on the design side and Eli on the modeling side. So I love this set. It's just so, and it's appropriate that it actually lined up with the desert biome.
It did. It was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got to see my whispering whelk that I designed.
I
Oh,
know. And all of
I thought
its
you were gonna say
slimy
no the first time I
glory.
was putting that together because I was like, is he gonna think I'm
No.
crazy? I'm putting a
I
horse
love
and a snail
snails.
together. I didn't know that you love snails until after.
I like kit bashing real animals together into a fantasy. That's
Yeah.
where the Begoramel
They
or
brought it to life, and it's just like it's when you design something, and then when you see the art, and then the concept, and then the art, and then you get to see it like working, and oh
Heck
my gosh,
yeah.
makes you
So
cry.
cool. I like the little shoes on this guy, by the way.
Yeah, the little
A little
pointy
curl.
Yeah.
So cool. Eli did a great job modeling this.
It's very good, Eli. You killed it. Nailed it. And then, of course, the lovely desert statue that you've all seen in the video, but here's
Who
the model
is
of
this
it.
desert mama?
The sand mama.
Yeah, the sand mama. Who is this? I don't know.
And
We'll find
Jinsey
out.
worked on this one.
Yes, Jinsey modeled this one.
And then we've
Love it.
got our Lightfoot Leveret.
I'll give a hint. There is
Ooh.
some importance to the
Oops.
iconography
Oops.
on her circlet. On her oh, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, I just hit the wrong button.
Okay, there we go. So there is a symbol that is present on the front of her circlet, and there's something relevant there.
Everyone's gonna be zooming in and looking.
I know.
All right. And then this is the Lightfoot Leveret, which is I don't know if I'm saying that right.
I cannot wait for the animations.
Designed this, but I don't.
I can't wait for the animations for this one.
Oh, I know. It's got to hop.
It's got to hop. It's got to hop and be a fast little rabbit.
Oh, I'm so excited. I love the ears.
Yeah, the ears are great. It'd be cool if you could grab the ears as part of the rider animation. Like when you sprint, you grab them and pull them, and it's just like you're holding on for dear life.
Instead of having reins, you grab the ears. That'd be cute. Next up, we've got our little farm ducklings. They're so cute.
Aww, this reminds me of the ducklings that John and I had over last summer that all got eaten by those falcons.
Stephen.
Well, they had
way to bring down the mood.
They had short but sweet lives. It's a circle of life. That kind of stuff happens. We looked it up actually afterwards. Only 10% of ducklings born in the wild survive to adulthood.
Doesn't surprise me. I see lots of like peregrine falcons in my backyard, and they just like take babies or mama birds. It's crazy.
We walked outside like the day they were born. There were falcons just circling above. And I totally tried to like steal the ducklings to raise on our own, but John did not allow me to do that. He was like, "You're never at home. You're always at the office. There's no way we're going to be able to care for these things."
You just have to let them be eaten. And it was really difficult. It was hard for me, but
Yeah,
it was
sad.
what it was.
And Stephen did kind of give you a little teaser of the shade duckling on Twitter, if you saw that.
Oh, look at him and his flower.
I like that when you teased it, someone replied and tagged me and was like, "This seems like something Margaret would have done." And I was like, "Yeah, I did."
I love the blue. I love the blue. The blue
I think
is
it's purple. It's
or
like
whatever.
it's like a purple,
Purplish,
a
bluish,
violet.
something. It is. It is very soft. It is nice. It's watery. And I love the animation for it.
Yeah, here you go. Oh, Jinsey did such a good job. It's so cute.
I think I need to get my screen checked on the if that's
Your
purple.
monitor,
Maybe
if it's
my
showing blue for
monitor is
you.
having problems.
It's like a purpley blue, so I could see that
Yeah.
if your monitor is a little more blue.
Yeah.
It's very cute. And that is that. No, just kidding.
Blurple.
Give me a second, and we will be showing. Are you guys ready for this?
I don't think
Sorry.
they're ready. I don't think they're ready.
Vagnar, you're gonna have to
Wait,
put
let's
another
just-
thread together.
Can we just
ASAP.
breathe together first before
Yeah,
we
we
show
can
it?
breathe together.
Let's just breathe for a second. Okay, so I want to talk about the Tulnar before we show this,
Okay.
or the Tonar, as it's now been
The
described.
Tulnar.
Okay, so now remember, the Tulnar had to suffer, some significant amount of time left to themselves as they were essentially left behind during the exodus from Vera. And it wasn't a pretty existence for the first several hundred years. And there was a culmination. Remember the background for the Tulnar. There was a number of minor races and major races that all sought refuge within the underrealm. And we talked about how this particular player character race was going to have a pretty unique approach when it comes to character customization, because with that background, there comes different species influence in the race itself. And we want players to be able to dial up or down those influences as they see fit between the, the humanoid, the simian or mammalian, and the reptilian influences. And as you dial those things up, your base body, if it exceeds a certain percentage threshold, will assume the form and stance of one of three primary types of influences that exist for the Tulnar. And now what you're going to see is those three distinct influences. And you can be, of course, 100% in one if you wish, and you'll be very similar to what you're going to see. You'll be very similar to what you're going to see here from the concepts. Or you can mix and match, and you can blend between the different influences. So you guys are about to see, and it's been how many years, and we've never actually shown the Tulnar. So wow,
I had a big plan for this, for the Tulnar release.
Well, hold on. Now we can do that. We can do that for the model. This is just
okay.
The concept.
All right.
So when the models are ready and we do the character customization, that's the big pomp and circumstance. We can show them and whatnot. But here, this is just.
I'm showing you more than a toe. I'm going to show you an entire face, three faces. Faces. And this is
the
not
three distinct
the limited.
Influences.
Yeah, necessarily. All right, you ready? Are you prepared?
Oh my God.
Take a deep breath.
I don't know if I'm ready. I can't believe you're making this decision. It's crazy.
All right, here we go. There we go.
I'm waiting. Oh my God, there they are. They have arrived.
They're so cool.
Welcome to the Tulnar, a proud,
so cool,
noble, underrealm dwelling race. They bring with them the history and background of those who came before, their ancestors, all from different walks of life. And you get to carry those footsteps forward. Maybe now all the hate for the Tulnar will stop.
Yeah, I think people
I
are going to
think
be
we're gonna see
changing
we're
their
gonna see a
ways.
180. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're gonna see a little bit of a 180.
Yeah, the Tulnar are really cool. So, and this is just concept so far. So, just wait till you see the models. It's madness.
And again, those of you who want to see what the transition from concept to model is going to look like, a great reference is to take a look at the Pi-Ray concept and what became the Pi-Ray model, because you have those available and you can see how similar.
You can do that
it
with the
is.
dwarf for the
Yes,
Dunir and the
absolutely.
Nukuin, and those are getting some updates as well, which we'll showcase once Stephen approves those. Obviously, Empyrean as we go forward with those, the Pyre, and we do have the Kalar and the Valoon as well. So
Yes, and wait until you see how the blend occurs between these three very distinct and unique racial influences within one race, the Tulnar. I think it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I'm very excited. All right, with that, we're going to move over to our Q&A, where we're going to try to power through as many of these forum questions as we can. So if you submitted a forum question, thank you so much. We always appreciate you guys doing that. And we try to get to as many as we can. First and foremost, our first one here is from George Black, and they want to know about mounts. Will mobs knock back people off their mounts, or will mounted players bypass all mobs easily?
No. There is danger to traversing areas with enemies nearby. And there are specific abilities that knock a rider off of their mount should they venture too close to enemies.
Oh yeah, good point. Someone in chat was like, "Studio update." Oh yeah, do you have any updates
Oh,
for on the
whoops.
studio front? I got too
Oh.
excited after the Tulnar.
I just got into the
lost me.
question mind frame. Okay.
Yeah, I went into question mind frame after the Tulnar. Sorry.
Studio updates is relatively short. I mean, we've been of course continuing to have incredible results from our recruitment processes. Again, Cameron, Stacy, and the HR team in general have been doing an incredible job in sourcing talent. We have several hundred natural applicants that come in each month. I believe in July, we've hired so far about 8 people, a little bit slower than the beginning of the year or the end of the year. Of course, that's natural when it comes to job searches. I do, however, want to take this moment to note, those of you who are watching and can help spread this word, we did put out a PSA announcement a few days ago on our AOC support Twitter. If you're not,
my light just went out.
Oh, I thought you lost power. I'm like, and there goes the stream. But we did put
my
out
Wi-Fi is being weird, and these are like Wi-Fi lights.
Oh, interesting. To once again state, we did put out a PSA on this. There are some very unfortunate people in this world who take it upon themselves to attempt and scam others. We all sometimes get those spam calls that are pretending to be people they're not, but now it's begun to encroach in on the territory of job recruitments. And there are some people out there on LinkedIn and other platforms that are pretending to be Intrepid Studios recruiters, and they are asking for information that Intrepid Studios would never ask for as part of the job application process. So I want to make sure that those of you who are out there who are looking for jobs, not just within this industry, but any industry, always be cognizant of the information that you share with others. It should never be appropriate that you pay a fee or you're requested to pay for equipment or provide social security numbers or identification or copies of passport in order to apply for a job. And one other thing that's very unique to our studio, I think, is that no one ever gets an offer from Intrepid Studios unless you've had either a video chat or an in-person interview with myself. So these people have been pretending to do actual interviews as well.
Full on in interviews, which is just
crazy.
Madness. It is crazy.
Yeah, so help us spread that word. It breaks my heart when I see, we've had a couple dozen people who've been affected by this. We did put out that announcement on our Twitter. We are updating our intrepidstudios.com website to reflect some also that PSA, and it is a part of our knowledge base article. As well.
We put it on our knowledge base article. It's up on Twitter, pinned on our support. We retweeted it. We have it pinned on our LinkedIn. And it is on our Intrepid site, but we're having a little problem with the hyperlinks that the web team is fixing. But it is on there and links to it. So
And I am going to say, I'll just take this very brief opportunity to say something. If you are one of the people who perpetrates this, whether for, our industry or any other industry, or you're part of anything along those lines, just try to remember we all have families, we all have moms, we all have, children or brothers or whatever. And now is a very difficult time in our economy. There's other stuff you can be doing with your life than this. So let's think about that.
be more
Okay,
productive.
that is the studio update.
Yes. All right, we'll get back to the other questions here.
Robot said we all have toes, including Tulnar.
Well, some people don't have toes. So.
Now they're going to be called Tulnar.
I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding.
I was joking. I was like, we just show them a toe or something, Tease, give them a tease. We gave you more than a tease. Next up, we have a question from Zyvan and Magic Man about combat abilities. Considering the recent update we've seen to combat, has the team decided on if there will be a global cooldown or not?
That's a very good question. It was a hot topic several months ago as we've been refactoring. Yes, I think that we've kind of gone back and forth with this. It's something that we're going to be testing as part of Alpha 2 and combat in general, is how we surface these global cooldowns, and whether or not we categorize these GCDs across essentially different types of abilities. So I would look forward to more of our combat demonstrations in Alpha 2 to understand, what approaches we're going to take, and then offering feedback as part of those approaches from our testers is going to be very important in that decision.
All right. And our next question is regarding animal husbandry from Ultra Red, and they want to know, will there be a cap on how many times an animal can be bred in animal husbandry?
Yes, there will be a cap. Absolutely. That cap is going to be defined by both the type of animal, the quality of that animal, and for what purposes it's being used in the animal husbandry system.
And then we have Unknown One who wants to know about naval content. Will we be able to fly flags on ships such as coats of arms, indicating association to guilds, nodes, or other groups such as pirates?
That is a very interesting question. We actually are not likely going to have it be a flag-based system, but I believe there will be within our sails the opportunity to utilize unique emblems and custom images potentially for players to designate, as well as potentially some locations on the hull for names and emblems as well as a decal.
All right. And then Nick would like to know about combat corruption. We know that party, raid, guild, ally mates can't flag against each other. But what about if one of them is a PKer? In other words, can your guildmate help you remove corruption by killing you?
Good
You're like,
question.
can I exploit this?
that is a very good question. We've also gone back and forth on that in the past as well. As it stands currently, yes, the affiliation between guilds or citizenships is trumped by the status condition of your corruption, and anybody can kill a corrupt player. But again, that's something that we're going to be testing as part of Alpha 2 as well. There are some different approaches that we can think about for that system and how it interfaces with our affiliation system. But it's important to note that, even if you are capable of, let's say, killing your friends, we have very unique systems in place with regards to the bounty hunter systems that locate individuals where they are on the map. And there is always going to be that tense, that anxiety, even as you're facilitating the kill from other players, that someone can drop in on you and pick up the items you may drop or kill you themselves.
All right. And then our next question here is from Lineker asking about Alpha 2, primarily because I think a lot of content creators have been talking about this. Will Alpha 2 be feature complete before betas or launch?
Before beta, yes, the game will be feature complete before beta. That is something that is necessary. Beta really is intended to identify last minute bugs, to kind of make sure that everything is ready for launch. And it's important that all features are complete by beta 1. Yes.
But we'll be making updates to Alpha 2 while it's live to
Absolutely.
get to
Alpha
that
2 will not
point.
be Alpha 2 will not be feature complete at the start of Alpha 2. There are going to be updates that are going to be incorporated as part of the Alpha 2 process, and there are going to be additional features that come online that get fleshed out between that time and Beta 1. There's going to be regions of the map that aren't going to be accessible, of course, during Alpha 2. So that is absolutely an important distinction.
Yeah, and Alpha 2 is kind of like the start of our persistent world, where the servers will be up
Absolutely.
day and
Yes.
night
And the
until
other thing is that
we go
Alpha
to
2 will
launch,
have-
but we'll have some downtimes in between for
Of
patches and
course.
stuff, right?
Yeah, and the other thing that's important to note is that Alpha 2 will remain even post-launch as our public test server. And that's an important thing to note as well.
Just wanted to clear things up on that front because there was some extra additional content or context. And then we have our next question from Schwan36, who wants to know about naval ships. Will larger ships, both frigates and galleons, have a minimum capacity requirement in order to be mobile?
In order to be mobile, no, you need a captain to drive the ship. In order to be effective, there is a scaling amount of additional personnel that are required on each ship type or class in order to be most effective. And that scales, of course, based on the size of the ship.
Yes, and we don't have an Alpha 2 day yet. When we are ready, we will let you know. But we have
I see all the Alpha.
Yeah,
I see all the Alpha 2 wins. Trust us. When we are ready to tell you, we will tell you. We made a commitment several years ago, not to mention dates until we are as close to certain as we can be with those dates actually being hit. And we want to make it that way. Also, we don't want to be rushed in this process. We are a quality first game studio, not a dates first game studio. And what that means is we will take the time that's necessary to ensure the product is ready for those release cadences. And Alpha 2 is a big one. And we need to make sure that Alpha 2 hits all the marks we want it to hit, both from an internal testing perspective, but is also representative of the promises we've made to the community. And as a result of that, we are going to continue working on the product until we feel it is ready. And when we do, that's when you guys will hear it. Especially
since Alpha 2 is when basically we're up for you all to see our game for a long time. So we just want to make sure we're fully ready, and it's going to be a great experience for you all.
Absolutely. This is a marathon, not a race.
Yeah. Our next question is from Fatal Syndicate, asking about castle events. When it comes to castle nodes and castle sieges, are the weekly node events and or monthly castle sieges a guarantee? Or is it possibly that a castle siege / castle node event, I think they mean siege event, could have no challenger and therefore not take place at all?
So castle sieges are on a monthly schedule, and those sieges will always occur on the monthly schedule. Events and node-based events, those are predicated upon certain world state conditions, right? Certain world conditions being met. So it's not always guaranteed that a node is going to suffer some type of event unless a predicate for that particular event or story arc is met within the world. But castle sieges are on a regular cycle.
All right. And then our next question is from Worth, asking about node leveling. When it comes to mayoral construction projects that players can bolster, how long would you say it will take players on average to fill / build up a node completely? So that's, from wilderness to metropolis.
Oh, so the question is node level advancement or within the level building all the buildings that level?
I mean, I'm sure people will want answers to both of those, Stephen, if you're willing.
Oh, I just want to make sure I'm giving the right answer. Okay, so we've already discussed it, and you guys, great resource to utilize is the Ashes of Creation wiki. You should go take a look at that for some of these questions, because there's a lot of content there. Even if not all of it is still up to date, it is constantly kept up to date by Lex and his team. So amazing job to them. A little shout out to them.
Thank you, Lex. Yes, go check out the wiki. It's amazing.
Yeah, so when we talk about what's the expected time range for node advancement, it ranges from hours from a crossroads perspective to several weeks from a city, excuse me, a city to metropolis perspective. And the reason for that is, of course, these are the dials in which the world advances. So we want it to be something that is both gradual, but also reflects the effort that players have to incorporate as part of getting nodes to those next stages. When we talk about what it takes to actually develop a node at a certain stage and the available progression points that node has access to, whether it's establishing embassies or relationships with the castles or reputation with other nodes so that alliances can form or trade agreements can be utilized and mayoral caravans can be kicked off, or building up certain types of player buildings so that new services can be unlocked, or developing the story arcs out so that there's hooks into the relevant POIs and dungeons nearby. That is a big process. It's one thing to get a node to a certain level. It's another thing to develop the node. And I can't really give you an on average expectation because there's a lot of variables at play there. There's how many citizens does the node have attracted to it? What's the type of traffic that the node is attracting to it based on things like its tax rates or the specialization that it's chose to spec into based on the building types it's chosen to build. All of those things are variables that can affect the average, quote unquote, average build out time of a particular node. So it's kind of difficult to give you an average when there's so many variables along those lines. But the idea is that if there is a particular project that players are interested in developing based on the node stage, that they would have the ability to complete several of those projects within a single term of a mayor. And a term of a mayor is 1 month. And that's an important heartbeat for the node's progression internally.
All right, cool.
Hopefully that answered your questions.
I mean, I think people will experience it in game. And obviously, as we go into alphas and betas, we'll be adjusting those timelines, and making sure that we test them and getting a lot of feedback on that stuff as well. So things are subject to change too. From classes, or from about classes, Sonic Explosions asking, if a martial DPS archetype takes a magical DPS secondary archetype, for example, a night spell, which is a rogue plus a mage, will it scale off of the physical stats, magical stats, or both when it comes to damage and abilities?
That is a very good question, and I want to reserve the answer for that when we do our deeper dive into combat, because that is a particular point of contact or particular point of information that's related to some future demonstrations we have regarding combat that I think is going to be important and people are going to be very interested in. So look forward to when we do deeper dives into the combat, and that'll be
we'll
coming
be showing
up over the
class
next
kit
few months.
stuff.
Yes,
in the next few months, which is exciting. And then we have Kraken, who wants to know about inventory management. Will there be an in-game tool for keeping track of where you store your items? So for instance, if I have items in my stash or in my freehold versus in a bag or at a bank, is there one place I can look and be search to find where I have the item so I know where to find it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is just a user experience that we don't want to make cumbersome, right? We want you to know where the things are. And then the meaningful aspect of that thing is traveling to those locations to access some of those things, particularly as it relates to materials and raw gatherables. That's the important thing. One thing that we are absolutely including is when you're within a node or an economic region, when you're within the node, you are at it. Let's say you go to a crafting station, you have access at that crafting station to pull from your personal storage and warehouse storage at the node. And you don't have to do the run back and forth constantly that all of us are accustomed to in games where, damn, I forgot the 4 petal leaves that I needed to make this, oil or something. I need to run back to the warehouse, grab the thing, run back to the workbench and start the thing. That is something that is what's the word?
Cumbersome?
No, what is it?
Time constraint?
I
don't
can't
know.
think. My mind is
tedious
broken this morning. Yeah, it's tedious, but it's an ease of
quality of life.
Thank you. It is a quality of life feature that I think is
Just
important.
say words at him until you
Yes,
it's
that
the
was much
one.
better. That's where I was going. My mind is, like I said, it's been a long week.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm not doubting that. Um, and I think that on the inventory management side, and just in general, we're going to have a lot of UI customization options for you all. So I know that
Yeah,
that is a
and
question. We don't want to allow add-ons. So if there's things you want and features you want, our goal is to implement those features.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when, we were talking a little bit about user experience and UI a second ago, and part of that is really coming to life with what the UI team has been doing at the studio. And boy, is our UI team kicking butt.
So
I can't
good.
wait to show you guys what they have in store for you here with the new UI rollout. But part of that is, of course, providing as much customization option as possible to the user. I know that bleeds a little bit into the add-on world, but I think it's you guys are going to be pleasantly surprised with that.
Yeah, I just wanted to make it clear because people were like talking about it in chat. There's a lot of new people joining us, so welcome, new folks.
Welcome.
Next up, we have Renoni Siponi, who wants to know about monster coins. During monster coin events, will the hate list for NPCs restrict or affect the buildings players can target and disable? This is a very specific
will
question.
the hate lists, I'm sorry, say it one more time.
Will the hate lists for NPCs restrict or affect the buildings players can target and disable for monster coin events?
Interesting.
It's a very specific question that I'm uncertain.
So I'm not sure I'm not sure the correlation between the hate list of the NPCs and the objectives of the event. But it is important to note that when events occur, there are very prescribed and specific number of objectives that can be targeted, right? You aren't streamlined into one particular, you have an option in front of you to select from. But those aren't affected by any type of hate list that might be incurred from NPCs. So when you're playing as a monster from the monster coin use as part of an NPC event that might be targeting a node or some other open world objective or POI or dungeon, you get to participate as a monster, and your focus is completing objectives that have already been prescribed as part of the event. And that's
so. For instance, like if you are part of a monster coin event that is attacking a node, and you're specifically to take down a specific building.
Yeah, like let's just workshop it. Let's say, for example, you have an event that is, the predicate for this event kicking off was that a raid boss was killed in a nearby dungeon, and it was killed for the 50th time, or it was killed by some particular storyline end, or whatever the predicate system is in the world state to say, hey, kick this event off. Well, when that event kicks off, a number of spawners activate around the node, and NPCs start moving towards a node. The node is notified, like, hey, there's something happening here. You guys should put up your defenses, focus on this thing. And those with monster coins who are within the area and are not a citizen of the node or an affiliated node can choose to activate their monster coin to become one of the monster types that exist within that event. And that event has a number of targets. And let's say for this particular story arc, the thing was, we need to find, artifacts and better weapons in order to defeat these bosses at the bottom of this dungeon. And a lot of players went through that process. They found those weapons and whatnot. Well, those things might be stored in 3 buildings that exist within the node. They might be stored within the armory. They might be stored within the barracks, and they might be stored at a workshop that has access to a workbench that they've chosen to build. And that could also potentially serve as a predicate. And when you become the monster, those are your 3 objectives. And you don't need to destroy all 3. You potentially just need to destroy 1, or you destroy as many as you can if it's a time selected event. And you might have targets that are NPC related as well, such as the blacksmith that's at the workbench, or the captain of the guard who's at the barracks, or whatever, who's at the armory, right? And you get to go in and you get to kill other players potentially during this who are helping to defend the city. And you can also make it to the objectives and potentially help in destroying the building or killing the NPCs. That is the type of objectives that would exist within a monster coin system for an event.
All right. So there will be some semblance of restriction to answer their question.
Yes, correct. Yeah, it's
depending on what the
defined by
event is. Yeah.
Yes.
The next question is from Lashing, and they want to know about AI behavior. Will mobs be able to buff each buff each other up when grouped up, like an NPC bard buffing its allies.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. There are
if
social AI
they want
systems.
to.
Yeah, it's important to note that our AI system that Russ and Chong have been working on is extremely versatile, and it also provides the capability of having a scoring system when it comes to the behaviors that the monster is going to utilize. And it can do some of those behaviors in parallel depending on how that scoring system comes out. And part of the interaction that we want to have existing between groups of AI or groups of monsters is the ability to support other monster types or classes that might be a part of that social group, not just from a social aggro perspective, but from a social support perspective as well. That is an important component of the AI system, absolutely.
And our final question is regarding leveling up, and this is from Min Zero. With leveling set to take a while, will each level have a reward attached to it, such as learning an ability, a talent point, or perhaps class quests, etc.? Or will
Yeah,
there be
yeah. I
levels
mean,
where you don't get something?
no, I think I mean, you're gonna get something for each level. There are going to be some levels that are more monumentous in your progression than other levels. But I don't like the drought between leveling process where you get nothing for a level. I think that's climactic. I think it is not indicative of a good reward system or a good progression system. I think you can emphasize some levels more than others, and that's a great way to do progression. But I think ultimately that you should see a reward for your progress or effort spent at a granular level, and that's something that's quantitative and compels you to continue progressing.
Yeah, of course. We want to keep you wanting to level up.
Yep.
And of course, that is going to wrap things up for our July development update. We hope that
We
you
made it.
all enjoyed it. You got a little something a little extra than what we had originally planned. But of course, we will have some feedback threads up. Please head on over to our World Map Discovery Dev discussion. We would like to kind of start putting that report together. So if you have thoughts, please go over there and pop them over there. And of course, we'll have a feedback thread up for the desert biome, Empyrean, Renkai, and now the newly revealed Tulnar as well. So please provide your feedback, and we'll be putting those reports together for our teams. And as a reminder, the Thunder at the Gate cosmetics will be swapping over on August 10th at 11 a.m. And we will see you all next month for another dev update. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you to Stephen for his time. It's very valuable. And of course, stay safe and healthy. And if you are watching this live, we will have this video over on our YouTube channel, so you can relive the action. And of course, if you're following us here on Twitch, it will be up immediately once we close this down. And don't forget, for the YouTube video, if you go over to a dev discussion and you subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave a comment, your comment could be spotlighted and answered or mentioned if you leave us a question or comment.
Yeah.
And of course, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all the things. We're there. We post almost daily for you. We love interacting with you all, and we always ask you a lot of feedback and thoughts over there. So if you have any, please head on over there and interact with us and have fun. We also have a Discord where we chat all the time. Vacnar and Roshan are always in there interacting with folks, our forums as well. So come hang out with us. We're excited for you to join our journey, and we will see you next month as we show some more progression for Ashes of Creation.
Yay. Have an awesome weekend, everyone.
Toodles.
Bye.